What's up, YouTube? It's January 1st, 2016. Happy New Year. I'm in the garage tinkering right now, and I wanted to share you my latest project. Actually, I have a couple lamps I built out of some salvaged bolts. So I've been collecting these things for a couple years now. I've been slowly swapping them out on equipment. Interesting part is they're all stainless steel. They're a M5 25, I think it was, metric bolt that's 25 millimeters long, which does me no good here in the States. So instead of me just posting them and selling them or scrapping them, I decided it'd be more fun to build something out of them. So let's get a closer look on what I did here. We'll start off with this guy. This guy was a pretty cool little build. This was my first one I started with. So I decided to make a truss work out of a bunch of triangles, which I assembled, geez, I want to say a couple dozen triangles on the bench. Tack welding the corners up, and then slowly assembling them in a pattern of circle, then building up. And I did not draw this out. I just was shooting from the hip on this one, which was fun to start with, but then it got more complicated as I started getting further down the line to try to make it work, finish it off. Now, the shade itself is actually a salvaged, so I actually had to modify a piece of stainless steel just to get this thing to hold on, but there's not too many glass lampshades on the market that I was able to use, and so that's why I modified one that I found. Now this one, I went with a stained butcher block. And now the texture is actually kind of interesting because I actually grooved it using a wire wheel. But this was not grooved with the wire wheel in its normal position. I actually reversed it so it had more teeth to groove and cut into the wood. And it gave me a really cool texture, and I've had a couple people ask me how I put that in there just because it almost looks like I took a knife and cut those in. But now this guy was actually done in a spiral going down, and this one I actually just mechanically fastened, so I was able to kind of play with the pattern. I was also able to, basically, I could change this pattern up at any time I want. You could always kind of go do more random, but as you can see, that I just kind of like the feel of the spiral. But you know what? We're gonna get a closer look, and I'm gonna disassemble these guys, and you guys can see exactly how I built it. Alright guys, so now that you saw me just disassemble at an ultra fast speed, I'm gonna go, I want you to see this a little more up close. But I actually took a 3/8 washer. This thing measures just under 3/8, or right at 3/8 diameter, but this is actually considered a 1/8 water pipe with a straight thread, not tapered thread. So getting nuts for this is actually quite difficult because it does not match standard nuts. So this is a 3/8 washer. This is a 1/2-inch nut, and I was just using those for spacers, so just try to build better depth on this thing. But now I use two different methods of welding. I actually started off TIG welding the stainless steel bolts to the stainless steel washer and just trying to get little tiny welds, and it was quite difficult because these things are a good 20 gauge, 18 gauge thick. They're very thin. Yeah, very thin little washers. So it was quite difficult. So then I switched over to silicon bronze just because I had it and I wanted to see how it actually flowed, and actually the weld came out quite nice. It was much easier to throw down a bead. Problem is that it started closing up the actual opening, and then I had to go out there and re-drill it, so ultimately it was not any faster than if I just sat there and tack welded it and took my time with the TIG, or you could even use stick. I just purchased some 1/16 diameter stainless steel rods. But let's go to my shop and I'll show you my jig real fast on how I assembled this, and I'll even show you guys the socket that I purchased and the kit for the actual the post. So let's run on over there. 1/4 inch plate aluminum, marked, drilled, and I just set some pins in there just to help me align this thing up. But it's as simple as just drop your washer in the center, line up all your pegs, all your bolts up to that. Now, I made this out of aluminum. Next one around, I think I'm just going to make out a hardy backer board. That stuff is heat resistant, flame resistant. I've used it for heat shields, for all kinds of crazy stuff. And yeah, I would just mark this thing out and actually just put some finishing nails in there, and voila, you got yourself the same jig for a lot easier. Now, a couple basic kits I just purchased from Amazon, but that's just an all-thread lamp kit. Yeah, nothing special. I think this thing was like $5 or $10, and it gives you two of them, a setup for two. Yeah, this thing is actually, these are hard. This was hard to find. I wanted an all-silver cord, and that's very difficult to find. But yeah, check out this model right here. So guys, let's jump back. Alright guys, so you saw my jig, you saw my the hardware, and you can see it wasn't that hard to assemble this. Problem was that all the time comes into building your base and that type of stuff. Hardware is all pretty simple, cut and dry. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Please, if this was helpful, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to Unsanctioned Fabrication. It really helps the channel, gives me a reason to live, guys. And you know what? If you guys have any ideas that for me to do with these bolts, and I'm not talking about anything vulgar or anything lewd. Guys, if you have any ideas for building lamps, let's clarify that. I got a ton more of these things. I probably got about another 1,000 of these things just sitting in storage, just waiting to come alive. Please write it down in the comments down below, and it would be greatly appreciated, guys. Later on.